Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and today I have some special guests with us, coming all the way from the UK. And first, I'm going to introduce everyone. I have with us John Washburn and Dewi Griffiths, and they are from Garland Stone Productions, and they also have a book out right now that's called Open Flames. Dewi, John, welcome to the Horror Realm. Yes, look at that beautiful cover.
How are you? Good evening to you. Good evening from the UK, and good afternoon to you over there in America.
Yeah. Yes. Listen, it's a pleasure having you guys on. I appreciate you coming on.
Our pleasure. Thank you for asking us, and thanks for your support.
Yes. And the first thing I want to talk about, tell us a little bit about Garland Stone Productions.
Certainly. Well, I'm Dewi. This is John. So my background is I've spent my career, as you can tell by the grey hair, I've spent my career making films and TVs all around the world. I really love horror and fantasy. That's my bag. The name Garland Stone actually comes from where I'm from in West Wales, the coastline of Pembrokeshire, which is far West Wales. And there's a rock off an island there called Garland Stone. So that's where the name comes from. The Garland Stone, the rock, gives the name to a coaster ship that my family used to sail on. And the ship was really cool. It didn't sink and kill anybody. So I decided it was a great name for a production company. So that gave the name Garland Stone. But where I'm from and where John's from as well, we're from Wales, and it's a place which is steeped in myth anyway. So when I was a kid, my dad used to take me down to the beach and say, "Do you remember I told you that story where the giant pig swam over from Ireland and destroyed Wales?" Yeah, that's where it landed. So we were really steeped into that. And John's from the other side of the country, where you have, again, Arthurian myths, and you also have writers such as Arthur Machen, who's like a really inspirational and an important writer in the history of horror. Guy who
influenced H.P. Lovecraft, and from then and H.P. Lovecraft influenced everyone else basically. So
that's right. So I went into film and television production, worked all around the world, and I really loved working on sci-fi and horror. I was very lucky to work on shows like The X-Files very briefly in Vancouver, Star Hunter, which was a sci-fi show. Mortal Kombat. I still got a dent on my head from when Prince Goro punched me, and such like. And I did all that sort of stuff. I worked on Charlie Band films, those full movie films, some of those. John Ayres' his early films, various horror movies, but also the big Oscar-winning, pictures that we Brits are usually famous for. The really long period dramas.
The Merchant Ivory stuff.
The Merchant Ivory stuff, yeah. So basically I was an AD, assistant director, and basically organised those shows and built my career up a little bit to production management and then to producing and directing my own stuff. And I produced vampire movies and stuff like that. And now I run the International Vampire Film and Arts Festival over in Pennsylvania, which is going to run again next year. So keep your eyes out for that. We support independent film. We don't really look to studio horror. We look to independent films. So we're really interested in connecting with up and coming or established and in the genre independent filmmakers who do, in that case, vampire movies. So John is more an exhibition guy. John, you ran so many outlets for back in the days of the video boom, didn't you?
Yes, I come from the old video, originally the old video industry, and but I've always had a massive interest in horror and fantasy and science fiction and stuff. So I guess that's my background really.
So I'm the mouth and John's the brains.
Yes, I come from the borderland of Wales. I come from between Wales and England. I come from that sort of area, so it's a little bit different.
Well, I'm from, my first language is Welsh, hence my name is Dewi, which is a Welsh variant on the international name David, So our backgrounds we're both Welsh, but we're from the different ends of Wales, if you like. They're two very different cultures of Wales again, so we pull that all together in what we do as well. So having worked in film and stuff, and as I said, having produced my own work internationally, features, shorts, TV, stuff like that. What we've done now, we've pivoted a little bit. So we're pivoted out of the movie industry into books. So in a nutshell, to simplify, basically what we're doing is we're taking the scripts that we had ready to produce as movies, the ones we didn't produce, we're now making into novels. So Old Flames, which you mentioned, is one of those. That was going to be a big movie. We had the casting director from Lord of the Rings involved in that, and some really, really, really cool people. This one is set in the other end of Wales, where we're not from. Sorry, this is going there we go, that's Black Valley. So these are both books which are set in Wales. So one is a ghost story. Old Flames is a ghost story set in the forests of Wales, and Black Valley goes into our horror mythos, which is called the Borderland mythos, and is set in North Wales in slate quarries, where basically slate miners have gone and dug a little bit too deeply, and they've left our world and gone into the other world, which is underneath.
If you ever saw the film The Keep, that's where it was filmed there. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Michael Mann filmed The Keep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clash of the Titans as well, where you see these huge black landscapes, which are actually slate. That's where Black Valley is set. So set on actual locations there, but it goes into our mythos about the other world, which is very similar to Arthur Macken's view of the world as well, actually.
Yes, yeah.
Mm. Macken has been a big influence, and that goes into H.P. Lovecraft as well with his Cthulhu mythos and such like, so everything sort of connects.
Now, I do have a quick question. Was it tough to adapt a screenplay into a novel? Because when you write a screenplay, you're writing for visual, compared to when you're writing for you're writing a novel. You're trying to build a visual in the reader's head. So was that tough to transition a screenplay into a novel?
If you want to talk statistics on it, this may be helpful. As you correctly say, when you're writing a script, you're writing what the camera can see, what the microphone can record, and the actor or actress can perform. That's what you write. Everything else is superfluous, and you don't write it. So a movie screenplay is something like in the region of 18,000 words, something like that. A novel is 70 to 80,000 words, sometimes even more. So it's a huge multiplication, and you're quite correct. What you have to do is you have to describe everything, because you have to say, okay, this is what you see, this is what you hear. But it goes a little bit further as well, because you're not just now dealing with what the actor or actress can emote. You're inside somebody's head.
Yes, you can't. We can't do that in a screenplay. Obviously, you've got lots more freedom in the novel. Also, you haven't got budgetary constraints in the novel.
That's true.
Yes. So your special effects budget can go through the roof. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
These are not low budget novels,
Yeah. When you're trying to find out every penny,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's an interesting comparison, and I'm finding it weirdly, being somebody who shot films since they were about 13, 14 years old, little Super 8s and things like that, and later video, and then going to film school, and then working in the industry for over 30 years. I'm finding writing to be far more free, far more free in terms of what you can actually do. But still, I think people comment on our books that they're very cinematic, because the way we describe stuff is very, very cinematic. I describe the light, the sound, all of these sorts of things, particularly when we're describing stuff. So the books are very, very cinematic. We try to put pictures into people's heads, but the soundtrack as well, and all that sort of stuff.
I guess the good thing is, though, you haven't got a director with his claws all over you trying to say, I don't like this, and you should have this, you can do this. So you haven't got that outside, hassle that we had.
Exactly. No funders telling you exactly what to do either.
And like you were saying, you can go as far as you want, because there's no budget. I mean, you can just you're not paying for special effects.
Exactly. Yeah.
The reader is creating those special effects in their own head.
Yes.
Now, typically, I've seen authors go to filmmakers, but you guys are doing it a little differently. I mean, and that's interesting, going from filmmakers to authors. Now, do you think by being a filmmaker, it has actually given you an advantage as a writer?
Structure-wise, a lot of ways in structure, because you've got that discipline of a scriptwriter, a screenwriter structure, and it does help, I think. It's a little.
We very rarely write purely organically. Obviously, all the ideas are ours. Obviously, we put them together the way we want. But something I learned after my producing days, I went into film education, and I was hired by the American Film Institute in University of Southern California to go and work in the Middle East to teach basically students from the MENA region, Middle East, North Africa region, film and television. It's been highly successful, and if any of them are watching, hi. They're doing very, very well. I still wish they'd give me 10% of what they're earning, because these guys are huge. But I was very lucky there to work with, I'd worked in America, as I've mentioned, quite a bit, but I was there working with American screenwriters for the first time. And one of them, who's a notable Hollywood writer, I asked him once, I said to him, Wayne, you're one of the few writers in Hollywood who doesn't get fired. Why is that? And being fired in Hollywood doesn't mean that you're rubbish, like it does in Britain. It means that, the producer doesn't like it. He said, okay, here's your check, move on. And he said, well, there are a few good writers out there. I'm one of them, because he wasn't shy. And he said, the reason I'm successful is because I understand structure. If I get a note from a producer, it's always change the man to a woman. On Deep Blue Sea, which he wrote, was change the dog to a monkey. Yeah. These are the notes that he gets. As opposed to, this doesn't work, or what's this character's motivation, what's the arc, and all of that. So we've taken that on board, and are very, very, very across the structure of the story. Everything happens in a certain way. Comes from everything from Save the Cat, which is a great little book if anybody has ever read it, to The Writer's Journey and things like that, and books on screenplay. They have structure. They have the 3-act structure. They have things happening at a certain time, and the characters that you choose, the moments that you choose, could come from, if you like, Propian analysis of genres and stuff. So we use all of that to create, I hope, very, very exciting, structured, free-flowing books, but never formulaic.
Novels and screenplays are very similar, but they both use a 3-act structure.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not that different. It's not that different, actually. And
Now, is it nice to have someone as to collaborate? I mean, if John is nice to have Dowie that you both can bounce ideas off of.
Yeah. You don't get writer's block then, I guess, because you've also got someone to bounce an idea off.
So. Where I'm very lucky is I do all the typing, which is fine. So I do all the hard work. John sits there shouting at me. But it's great. John's one of these guys. If you ever want to know something, first thing you do is you phone John, because John will know. If John doesn't know, you look at Wikipedia. So his research and knowledge and stuff is absolutely incredible. Okay. I know a lot. John knows how much more.
I'm a trash talk of useless information, to be honest.
I'm the same way.
I'm right in the scene. So basically, we discuss the ideas and everything. We lay it all out. We map it all out, and I do the typing and I write a scene. So my skill and knowledge is coming from screenplays and from filmmaking. It's like, this is how a scene is structured. This is how it works. These are the way people talk and all these sorts of things. And John will throw in, do you know that in the Dark Ages there was this spear called a bodega, and they used to, this is how it worked, that they killed people in this way. But right, okay, So it's a real interesting combination. I do write stuff on my own.
Yeah.
Old Flames, for example, is mine. Folk Devil, another one we've got coming out as a paperback shortly, is also one of mine. But we also, Black Valley, John and mine. Which site, which we're writing a sequel to at the moment, which is set in Dublin in Ireland, is John and Mine. Away Game, John and Mine. Blood Eagle, which is a contemporary Viking film. Get your head around that. Contemporary Viking story. Is again John and Mine. So we work. We're very prolific when we work together. We're very, very, very prolific.
Yeah, I guess COVID put the mockers on a little bit because we couldn't meet up so much. But
then we discovered Zoom.
Yes, we had Zoom.
It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So what happened there was I shared the screen, so John didn't have to look at me. So what I was
we could do that more, then, actually. We actually do more work in some ways and go with
to our advantage,
Yeah.
And right now in indie horror, actually mainstream horror, indie horror, it's big. It's blowing up right now. I mean, we're getting so many new creators, so many new authors, filmmakers, writers, screenplayers. It seemed like during COVID, like you were saying, people who normally, were working a 9-to-5 job the creative juices started coming, and they started like, you know what, screw this. I'm gonna write my first screenplay. I'm gonna write my first book. I'm gonna make a first movie. It seemed like COVID worldwide actually forced a lot of people to chase their dreams or their passions.
Yeah, and people had time to do stuff where they didn't normally have that time, and it was good. Yeah, a lot of people, went down rabbit holes and discovered they had a talent even.
Yeah, because I mean, even during COVID, I mean, that's when I started my YouTube channel. I mean, like shortly after COVID, I started. I was thinking about doing a YouTube channel. People were telling me about doing a YouTube channel, and then like shortly after COVID, I started putting the wheels in motion to actually do this channel.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I drove a lot of people to do things. I think, being stuck locked in your house for, I don't know, in our case, like 2 years or something now, isn't it? Almost, yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah, the British had lockdown. We certainly had lockdown. Yeah. We really did. Yeah, we were seriously locked down. And the weird thing is, John and I have been writing material for many, many years, and we've been preparing for the apocalypse. And the apocalypse and what am I doing? I'm marking papers in a university. I'm marking papers for university for months, so the apocalypse is happening and I'm stuck in a room marking. Can't even go to have a look at it.
Yeah. Hey, I was going to work. I did see it,
Yeah, John was what they called an essential worker.
So I was seeing it, that was the first few days of it were kind of weird.
So actually that whole thing is spun into, as we said, we've written Black Valley together, and Black Valley is set during those early days of COVID. And our heroine is a key worker, so she can actually travel, and she travels to this place and goes basically beyond the veil into the Celtic otherworld. So these sorts of things are happening in our stories. We're writing the sequel to Witch Sight now, which is set in Dublin, and that's at the tail end of lockdown in Ireland as well. So we're using this recent history as a part of our stories. And, hopefully it helps people relate, because when you're writing something which is, shall we call supernatural, or, supernatural, you need to ground it in reality. Otherwise it just becomes, hokum in effect. And people just think, geez. But, it's tied down to things people actually hopefully remember and have experienced. And it's like, whoa, yeah, that could actually happen. That's what we're trying to do, really.
Now, is it hard as authors to put a little bit of yourself in your books and your characters?
I guess everyone puts a little bit of their life experience into the books. I mean, sometimes, but I suppose, it is awkward, sometimes, certainly. You do have elements of yourself in the books, or elements of the way you do act in certain situations, perhaps. But,
I very often write stuff, and I think it's actually kind of a key thing. I write something and it reflects my life. It may not reflect me. For example, in Old Flames, this one here, the heroine is a younger woman in the mid-20s. I'm not a woman in the mid-20s, but some of the things that happened to her happened to me. So I because I've lived that experience, I'm able to articulate it through a book, and it makes the character's life a little bit more believable. Old Flames is all set around the haunted cottage, and I found these places when I was a location scout on TV shows. I actually found these haunted cottages, and I found this forest which basically was bought by the government, and they forested over all of the old farms. And the old farms are still in there, but they're obviously ruined. So these places actually exist in Wales. And the haunted cottage I found when I was finding locations for a TV show, I mean, that was really scary, man. That was like a very, very, very angry ghost. So that's in the story. So these are things that that I've lived, John's lived. And we weave them into our tales, absolutely, to give them reality. In fact,
I lived in a house that was like haunted when I was a kid, so and that was pretty weird.
And totally horrific at times from the stories John tells me as well.
Yeah, it was really, really weird. It was kind of strange. That was a very strange place.
But I used to joke, I was John's best man in his wedding, and one of my jokes was we used to go to John's house and climb into the fridge to keep warm.
Oh yes, that place was there, that place, that's actually true. It was, it was that cold,
Now, I want to go back to something that you guys were talking about earlier, and I'm fascinated by this. You were talking about the Vampire Film Festival in Pennsylvania. Let's go a little more into that. What is it like? Listen, there's a Transylvania Dracula tour, that they do every year. And I had the guy who ran the tour on like early on into my YouTube channel, and I've been so fascinated. I want to do it. What is Transylvania like?
Romania itself, the country, before we go down to the region, is very, very interesting. I was one of the first Western crews to go there. I was working for Charles Band, Full Moon. I was actually working on a children's film they made, which was one of their greatest films, a film called Dragon World. And we got diverted over there, so I ended up running this film shoot there. And I found that despite the fact that it's 3,000 miles away, I know America is like, hey man, America is 3,000 miles is nothing, but in Europe, 3,000 miles is huge. I'd gone to a completely different country, and the languages were very, very similar because of the Roman influence, Roman Empire. So I turned up there, and I'm looking into this, and I found it an extremely interesting country because it was coming out of the out of the Cold War at the end of the end of the Iron Curtain and all that. And it was a very I just loved it there, but it was really strange. I used to say it's like Disneyland on acid.
Yes,
It's really strange. The things that would happen. Met a kid, who's begging for money, and he works out that I'm British, so he speaks to me in perfect English. And we have a little conversation. He's saying about how his mum and dad died in the revolution and they'd been shot and all that. I said, "Where do you live?" He lived in the sewers. And anyway, I gave him a little bit of money, and he wanders off. And a French guy's walking past, and he starts talking to the guy in fluent French. So this kid is maybe 6 years old, and already he can speak multiple languages, And I went back to run the Vampire Film Festival, which is out of the big city in the countryside in Transylvania. And yeah, that country's come on. It's like had gone through a quantum leap. It's very modern now, but where we go back to one of World Heritage Sites, a place called Sighisoara, which is where Vlad Tepes, who is the inspiration for Dracula, was born. So that's where we actually go, and these buildings are several hundred years old. And the mad thing is, they look like a Hammer horror film set.
Yeah,
Wow.
They really do. And but the people are really friendly, and I can still speak a smattering of Romanian. I'm not fluent, but I can definitely communicate, And people are so friendly and so nice. And we're showing films to people, and we look out the window. My friend said, "Oh, look, there's a big dog out there." I said, "That's not a big dog. That's not a big dog. That's a wolf."
Yeah.
And there's bears in the woods nearby, and all these sorts of things. So it's wild country, but I absolutely love it there. And the nice thing about our festival is we base it in Sighisoara, which is the birthplace, as I said, of Vlad Tepes, of Count Dracula, in effect. And everybody opens up to us. They're really, really friendly and everything. People travel there from all over the world, a lot from America, Far East, all over Europe and places like that. Because weirdly, even though Romania is remote and Transylvania means beyond the trees, it means the place, which is really, really far. It's really easy to get there. You hop on a plane, which is very cheap. You hop on a bus or a train, which is very cheap. You get there. You stay in a hotel, which is lovely but very cheap. And the food and drink, particularly, which is very important, is also very cheap. So it's a fantastic destination.
You had Christopher Golden and Tim Levin all turn up, didn't you?
Yeah,
so you had some pretty big horror authors turn up to do
and
talks.
we've done world premieres of movies there as well. And even when we had COVID, people like Charles Band, who I used to work for, and Ted Nicolau, who I was the AD for on a few films, who directed the Subspecies films. These guys helped us out.
Yeah, they're great.
Absolutely, So Ted would basically do all these interviews with us, and Charlie gives the permissions to screen the films. So all these sorts of connections I made 20 or 30, good grief, 30 years ago when I was ADing, coming to pass into the Vampire Film Festival. And the lovely thing is, having been an independent filmmaker of my own shorts and full-length films, I'm meeting with people, and I'm giving them a platform, and I do little interviews with them at the festival, and you find these amazing stories behind what they're doing. We had a guy over from the Philippines, and he brought movies about the Aswang. Which sounds like a weird thing. It's actually a vampire woman whose top half of the body flies off and vampirizes things and then comes back. But this is cultural stuff, So your vampire genre, your vampire mythology, your vampire folklore has similarities but differences across the world, and we love bringing all that stuff to the screen, Don't have vampire cats, but I'm thinking about that.
There's a vampire cat in his thing. Yeah, there is. Yeah.
This is
there you go, John knows again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now, so if I was flying in from the States to there, how far is it from the airport to where the actual film festival?
There are a number of airports. There's Bucharest, so I think that's about 3 hours, I think, and Cluj as well, which is a little bit closer. I think it's about an hour and a half. But the connections are pretty good. But the website for that is ivfaf.com. There you go, hopefully. ivfaf.com. You can see that now. International Vampire Film and Arts Festival.com. So we're going to announce the festival very shortly for next year. And if you connect on that, you know, you can find out everything, and we can advise you on connections and things like that through there. Depends where you come from, of course.
And I'll have the link down in the description box, so definitely click on that. I am so interested, by the way. I mean, you know, I've been to quite a few countries in the 41 years I've been on this world, more than most people, and but Romania, especially Transylvania, I've always wanted to, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. And
if you're a horror fan, it's a must-see place.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do this next year.
You could even do a show from there. You could.
Yes. I'm thinking about this might be a thing for next year. This might be a thing.
Yeah.
So we're planning it for next summer. The date to be finalised, which is why I'm not mentioning it now. But you know, it'll happen. And we've run quite a few. And the really nice thing is we use a platform called Film Freeway you know, that's how we take the entries, the film entries, and you know, we get dozens to hundreds every year. First year I think I had 1,000 entries.
Wow.
You know, so it's kind of huge. Not all of them are vampire films, I do admit, and I had to reject a few.
Good, you know.
But you know, it's like 1,000 entries. I'm watching 1,000 films. My eyes are bleeding. You know, and luckily, the vampires weren't coming out of the screen. But you know, we have. We've skipped a year now, so we're expecting to have an awful lot of really good entries onto that. You know.
Listen, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, real quick. Dowie and I hope I said that right.
Just come Dowie. I'm easy.
And John, where can we find you and your work?
The best place for us is www.garlandstonepublications.com. You can see our names are Dowie and John at Garland Stone Publications. So it's www.garlandstonepublications.com. That's our website. On that, you'll find information on all of our books. There's Black Valley, as I mentioned, and Old Flames. There's Witch Site, which is set in Dublin. There's Away Game, which is set in Finland. Football hooligans or soccer hooligans who go to Finland.
Yeah, they kind of go.
And we've got, what else have we got? I forget. Black Valley, we told that. Folk Devil. Folk Devil is set in the middle of England, and that's going to be our next paperback release. It's going to be the third book we release as a paperback, and I'm really proud of that. That's one of mine again. It's one of my personal ones. And what else? Blood Eagle. Blood Eagle, as we said, is a contemporary Viking horror.
That was the first novel.
That's the first one we wrote.
It was like experimental, really.
So to give you an idea, there we latched into it so quickly. John said to me, "You write these scripts and books, Dowie. You know, we should do it together." I said, "Okay," and we did 50 pages a day on Blood Eagle. I mean, you know, that's the speed of what we wrote it, and I'm absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, well, we hammered that one out.
Hammered it out.
No bit better now, but yeah, we hammered.
But it's a really good little book. I think it's the top one on the American Amazon charts of our books.
Yeah,
actually, yeah.
Weirdly enough, that's still the most there.
Yeah, but you find links to the various platforms. You know, Amazon obviously is where we sell most stuff as ebook. But it's on other platforms as well. You can get your Kobos and things like that. It's out through Barnes & Noble in the US. But basically, if you go to the website, garlandstonepublications.com, there you can see the links to these sorts of platforms. You find information on each and every book. We kind of like have a formula. We have a really nice cover. We have a little map which explains the action, because again, back to my filmmaking days, you tend to shoot stuff in one location or one locale, so you don't have to move very much because it's cheaper. Even though we're in books now, we still don't have to move very much. You can keep it to certain areas, because it makes things more claustrophobic if nothing else. So we got that, and you got background to the books, you got the background to the mythologies. As I said, all of our books are contemporary horror, but they're based on mythologies from a lot from the Celtic countries, Wales, Ireland particularly, but also, as we said, places like Finland as well, which have their own unique sort of mythologies. Norse mythology is another one we have involved in there. So you find all of this stuff out, and if you do want to buy the hard copies, the paperbacks, we've got links there as well where you can purchase the paperbacks as well from us directly. Being that, again, I'm from the film industry, Travis, you'd be surprised to find out that we don't use publishers. We are our publisher. And just like independent filmmakers, I look for distributors. John and I look for distributors. So we're looking for distributors for our books, for our hard copies of our books, the paperbacks. So we have those as well. So that's kind of our business model, is to, release ebooks, of course, but then to print out paperbacks and deliver boxes of paperbacks, basically turn up in a big black car, with our masks and our hoods on, go into the place, deliver boxes of these books to people and say, you sell them.
We might have a couple. We might bring a couple to Transylvania.
We certainly will. But that's the model. So it's slightly unusual, but it comes from experience of the movie making world, in effect. And so I'm never going to be able to shake that. And John, I think from the exhibition side, we're never going to be able to shake the sort of film side of what we do. But it creates little books which we hope are very, very visual, very, very cinematic, very, very gripping, never a dull moment, as they say, all killer, no filler. And hopefully very, very satisfying books as well. And the stories, we do sequels. As I said, All Flames is out. There's going to be an All Flames 2 later this year, which is continuing the story of the haunted house. And Witchside 2, which continues in Ireland, Dublin particularly as well, with our mythical creatures battling it out in contemporary, modern, downtown Dublin city.
But yeah, it's all go.
It's all go, Travis. It's all go. Go all the time.
Listen, I'm excited to see where you guys go. And by the way, I'm excited to get to Romania and Transylvania.
Yeah, good to see you.
I'm being dead serious. As soon as you find a date and everything, information, please send it to me so I can.
I think this one might be really good because there's been there's a gap, isn't it?
There's been a couple of years gap, so we should have some stuff. I mean, most film festivals won't show films which are over, say, a year old, maybe up to 2 years old. Obviously with a mind to freshness. If they haven't been entered to our festival before, we'll definitely consider them. And as I said, we're very, very, very supportive of independent filmmakers, and kindly Film Freeway, as I said, who are the platform we take submissions from. They voted us one of the top 100 film festivals of the world every single time we've run a festival.
Nice.
And all of our reviews are 5 stars. People come out, they have a ball.
And there's an academic side as well.
Yes.
So they have authors going and giving talks and stuff like that. So you've got that as well.
Absolutely. So you got academics, you got it, particularly from America, who are people who seriously study the vampire world, shall we say, and then you got the authors as well, and you got the filmmakers, and you got the music makers, and so you got the gothic bands and everybody, who sort of wander over as well, and it's just a really cool mix of people. All of whom have got the same interest, in effect. It's just a blast.
Yes.
It's a blast.
It's like a Comic-Con for vampires, really.
Sounds like so much fun. So much fun. Listen, guys. You guys can come on my show anytime you want to promote anything. Just let me know. I'll love to have you back on.
Absolutely.
It's nice to have a chat. It's
and I hope I can see you next summer at the Vampire.
Yeah, it'd be good.
That'd be great. We'll have a drink. There's a Romanian drink called Polinka, which is Polinka, yeah.
Okay.
First time I went to Romania, this is how the country's developed, right? First time, there were 2 varieties of Polinka. There's the variety you drank a little cupful and you fell over unconscious, and there was a variety, if you drank it, you went blind. So all you could do is smell it. So now there's consumable Polinka now in Romania.
Thank God, because I'm not trying to pass out or black out. That's not happening. All right, listen, guys. Listen, everybody. Go down the links. Definitely, if filmmakers, listen, if you want to submit to the film festival, the link down it.
Keep an eye on the site. Keep an eye on the site.
And keep an eye on Film Freeway as well.
Yeah.
So if you want to grab any of their books, Open Flames, any of their work, or just do some research and learn about Garland Stone Publications Productions,
you can spend many happy minutes on that website. It's
yes, the website is huge. There's a lot going on there. It really is. To definitely check it out. All right, listen. Everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much for having us. Yeah.
And that is Dowie and John.
Yeah.
I got that right?
Dowie and John. Close enough. Close enough for rock and roll.
I will see you next time. Take care.
Thanks very much, Jarvis. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.